Hi, this is Flav and Matt from the Long Ball Street podcast.
That sounds like some sort of mid-morning matters.
That's what I'm trying to sound like. That.
Okay.
We make our podcast...
Are you weeping from your penis?
we make our podcast both in video and audio formats.
Yeah, we do.
And we have an important question for you, the listener/viewer.
Yeah. We want you to know. We want to know, do we put out the whole podcast? Is it too long?
Too long?
Or should we put out a 15-minute segment of the best part of the pod?
The highlights, if you will.
Or should we put out multiple videos? Maybe 3 or 4.
What, so break up the hour into 4 15-minute pieces?
Yeah, we're asking you because we don't know. We don't have a clue. We should know. This is our industry, but we don't.
Yeah, so let us know what you like, because Flav doesn't even watch a full football match without going off and
for a tug. Hello and welcome to the Long Ball Street podcast. Today we're here with nobody. It's just me and you, Matt.
I know, I like it when it's like this.
And Craig.
Craig's always here.
He's always there, just sitting there. The most reluctant contributor to all of Ball Street content. You never see him. He gets freaked out if you point a camera at him.
You get literally the odd bit of a voice you get. It's Chelsea related usually, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's a Chelsea fan, but I don't hate on him.
There was one time I pointed the camera. He's always been calm, always been really nice. He's very polite.
He's a very calm man.
Yeah. And then until I pointed my phone camera at him once.
Even did it fluster him?
He goes, I told you I don't want to be on camera. Like that. You can actually see it. It's in a talking ball show.
I really like it when people that are usually calm flip out.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favourite things when you find that little thing that knocks.
Because then they're still not scary, but it's surprising.
Yeah.
And you think, there's more depth to Craig than I thought. He used to be a puddle, but now he's an ocean.
But definitely water-based.
Yeah, something water-based. So, as people probably know by now, we also record this stuff for YouTube.
That's right.
And I found one of your hairbands on the floor.
Hang on, how have you just gone from Craig's a puddle to... We record this to I found a fucking...
Just felt like you might want that. Anyway,
I will use that.
Yes,
it is definitely one of mine.
A good podcast last week with Loz, but no guests this week. So we thought we'd rattle through some of the talking points in football this week.
That's right. So we got a couple of little formats, haven't we? We do for the podcast.
Yep.
And sometimes we do this where we get about 4 different subject matters and we just chat through it.
Yeah.
And this is governed by schedule this week. So I've got a very busy week, and this was the time, wasn't it?
We're all busy, Matt.
All right, mate. Well.
Why have you got a laptop and I don't? Because it makes you look like you're like the guy and I'm just your mate who turns up every now and then. Why have we both got glasses on as well?
We always have.
Do you realise we both got glasses on?
We always have glasses on.
Why have you got a camouflage jacket on?
Well, that's because, we didn't know we were doing the podcast today until today.
Yes.
And I happen to be wearing a black t-shirt again.
Yeah.
And I'm camouflaged.
If you're watching on video.
So this is actually... this is just something that's in the office.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't wear this for those that watch on YouTube. I don't walk around with this on. And I actually bought this for an ex-girlfriend. Actually,
you bought it for her.
I bought it for her.
She kind
a few years ago, before
a big girl.
Before camo was a thing. No.
It fits you.
I know. Yeah, I know. She's not a big. I'm not a big guy though, am I?
No, but you're not feminine looking.
No, I'm not feminine looking. Well. I'm in touch with my feminine side.
Yeah, you're pretty.
We all are. Well, not pretty.
Handsome.
Pretty average.
Don't beat yourself
give
up.
Over. I can't help
give
it.
over.
But yeah, so I'm wearing this. So it don't matter. You don't need to in the comments be going,
what's
he's
that?
wearing that. Why is he wearing that? It's
got a man bun.
Who cares?
Why is he?
But I don't walk around like this. You'll never see me with this outside. Although it has got a Raiders badge on. It's my favourite NFL team.
What we're saying is grow up.
Me?
No.
Oh, them?
Them, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to grow up. Do what you want.
I'm already grown up.
All grown up.
All grown up.
What are we talking about this week?
Well, we got a few. We've actually got a few bits to talk about, but one of the bits that we've decided, and when I say decided,
literally
just moments ago, to introduce something that is almost a vessel or a means by which people can ask us questions.
Yeah. So it's called Pod Questions.
Pod Questions.
That's genius.
Hashtag Pod Questions.
Just in case anyone doesn't understand what we're getting at, really think about that title.
Yeah. So we love the comments. We do tend to read through them actually. I know I do.
I do always. It's all about the people.
Yeah.
For the love of it.
And we get some, but we want this to be a specific way to ask us questions. Then what we're going to do is we're going to start to answer these questions on a week-to-week basis.
And where did this come from? You saw a good comment on Talking Balls last week.
It was a Talking Balls comment which I'd seen because I get the notifications sometimes on my phone, and it came through, and it was actually on Talking Balls, which we fucked up because Talking Balls this week, by the way, was amazing.
Yeah, I was quite proud of that one.
It's a beautiful Talking Balls.
Yeah.
But we put it up
along with loads of other content, and it just cannibalised the audience.
It went up just before they put up a load of other content, which makes no sense, but it kind of killed the number of views for that. But so this one is question one of pod questions, even though it doesn't say that. And what it was it's Total Team Talk.
Yep.
Who said, as you have a QPR fan, a Huddersfield fan, and a Charlton fan on the channel, you should do a lower league show. Lower league football doesn't get the exposure it deserves.
It doesn't, absolutely doesn't, and I think it would be an amazing thing once we're fully established in terms of, we have an audience that will engage with everything we do. So I think that's the risk.
Well, it is. So I think that the beautiful thing about this, right, is that what I love about this is that me and Jed, who's the Arsenal fan, and James,
Charlton,
Arsenal?
Jed Charlton.
Sorry, Jed, and everyone. Yeah, Jed's a Charlton fan, James is a QPR fan, and I'm the Huddersfield fan. Because me and Jed are both sort of business facing people, so
the majority of your time is the business side.
99% of it. This is just a podcast that we did just because kind of
keeps you sane.
Yeah, it's just fun, isn't it, to actually just chat about something that isn't kind of like speaking to clients and stuff like that. But we've never been on a video together, and Jed just does the odd thing. And for somebody to have put that few things together, and to firstly is cool because it shows that people are actually listening, and and that we've got their attention in a way, which I think is a beautiful thing.
We're not just talking to ourselves.
Exactly. But the second thing, which I think is fucking beautiful about this, and this is what I really love about it, is that what he's asking for here is actually what our complete ambition is.
It was. Yeah, when you started, but when Ball Street was set up, it was about that, treating every league like the Premier League.
Yes, and it remains our ambition. However, we don't have the resources that people have got. We've never sat here with, like people, channel started with a couple of million, or they're a business that's huge here and they've ventured into video because they see that it is this big marketplace and it's a big opportunity. Or even if it's people like traditional media company like a TalkSport or even a Sun or someone like that that's actually got all this stuff happening, and they're able to quite easily go, we should do this video stuff as well, right? Because we're already making radio or news.
We're kind of building it from the ground up.
We're building it from the ground
with our
up.
Hands.
Exactly, with our bare hands. So I love this question. I love you noticing this. And so I replied to this guy at the time saying, mate, we'd so love to do that one day, my friend, one day. And he even replied, and get the Southend fan involved. So this guy's knows us. He's referring to Callum there. He knows what we're trying to do, and he wants actually what we're setting out to do. And this is something we want to provide. I want there to be a Huddersfield Town fan TV. I want there to be a site where there's content that speaks to fans, not in a patronising way, because I just think so much traditional media sits there and goes, do you know what? We'll tell you what's happening.
Well, the reason why fan media is rising and has risen so violently and aggressively into this market is because people, I think, want an alternative viewpoint on it, and it's just
honest,
common sense, honest,
something that's honest.
And I understand that a pundit can't talk about Tottenham in the way I can because he doesn't have enough hours in a day for him to understand my football club.
Exactly.
So it's good. It's a great comment, and like you say, people are kind of aware of this sort of stuff, and that there are many viewpoints. And while we haven't produced lower league specific content, we are having conversations constantly in the office about lower league stuff and thinking about how we can get it into the stuff we do. Yeah,
it's awesome. I was trying desperately then to find another comment to talk about. Or another question.
But if this is going to be a main part of the podcast going forward, we're going to be talking about your questions, answering them.
Hang on, here's a point that someone made. By the way, you guys should put the microphone stand stuck on the left side of the guest or on the right side of Flav.
Does that mean because he wants my face covered?
Yeah, I think it does, yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, you're right.
This is one of your bugbears, this mic, isn't it?
I fucking hate this microphone.
You hate it. Forget that it makes brilliant sound and everyone can hear it. That's not important. You hate
thing. What's this?
The crane.
The crane.
It's the
You
crane.
love the crane. Yeah, I hate the
We'll
crane.
figure out a way. I
We
know
want,
it's
one day, as well as providing a great service of content to fans, we'll be able to also have our own individual microphone.
Yeah.
That would be desk standing, preferably.
It's going to happen.
And we'd have one each.
Just so we'll have one each.
So that we could talk at the same time and still kind of pick it up.
Craig, just give me the eye. What?
Someone should send one in, really, shouldn't
Yeah, we get
Someone should, yeah. If anyone out there makes great microphones, or indeed sells them, or can procure them at Black Friday prices,
just send them.
Then send them through.
For free.
Oh, but the other thing, so it was just to make the point about Ball Street. Oh no, that was the one. It was the 100k one, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, so this channel should have 100k.
Yeah, should we find the guy's name? Do you want to start telling us why we haven't got 100k?
It's a very difficult thing to do to get 100,000 people to subscribe and become invested in your channel. So for a start, that's part of the reason. We ultimately, Ball Street is a few years old, but really have only been put in concentrating on building our YouTube and audience for the last 6 or 7 months. So we have achieved something by getting to 40k, which is pretty much where we're at now.
We're not quite at 40, but yeah. And it's Rustam Bagirov.
Yeah.
Who sounds like he's, I don't know, European.
Yeah.
So yeah, what he said is, how the fuck has Ball Street not hit 100k subs yet? One of my favourite channels for football related stuff. Absolutely love it. And then a couple more have waged in on that, which I like. Carlos David said, fuck knows, mate, maybe because fans are partisan. It is growing slower than club sites, but then he put quality content. And then someone else, but I didn't subscribe until recently. I watched a few off the back of Redmen TV, and they started taking over my recommended videos, and recently uploaded the more I watched. I've never missed a new vid.
Good.
If I've subbed, probably the same. So yeah, the point is that there are certain things you have to do to build a channel. We know that there are certain things to do with consistency of uploads over a long period of time. Ultimately, it's like feeding a machine. And whereas we started the channel a few years ago, we've never sat there with money. Like Copper started with a couple of million quid. Fremantle, somebody, they've started with money and
There's
resources.
money behind them, yeah.
Whereas we haven't done that, so we've had to everything we've had to do is had to wipe its face. We've had to ultimately make money from working with brands in social media, in terms of making video, in terms of giving them ideas and things like that, in order to then bootstrap the development of a Ball Street YouTube channel and the things that we want to do with Ball Street. So everything that we've done here, the likes of you and your salary and things like that, we've had to ultimately make that money elsewhere in order to kind of do that.
Yeah,
so
and I am expensive.
He's really expensive.
This glory don't come for free.
money very well spent, obviously.
Cheers.
But that takes a little while, and we've only really been going for about 6 months, haven't we? Properly.
Yeah.
So hopefully, it's also collabs. Fact of the matter is, people pay big YouTubers, big channels to appear in their video and drive audience. We don't pay for things like that because we ain't got money to do that. Flav takes it all. So look, thank you again for the comment, and thanks for caring. Thank you for any future questions using #podquestions.
Yep.
You can do that on Twitter
At Long Ball Street.
or you could do it on YouTube. It's easier if it's on this video.
Yeah, a lot easier.
But if you do it on other videos as well, #podquestions, I'm sure that if you use #podquestions, we can find.
And if you leave comments on any of our videos, you look at, like you said, we do read the comments, so we can pull across anything decent we see. But yeah, #podquestions.
And someone else,
that'd be great.
please continue to post this on YouTube. We will.
We will, because obviously it helps the ego.
Yeah,
It helps me get up in the morning in more ways than one. You know what I'm saying, Matt?
Yeah.
I'm talking about getting hard on when I wake up, just in case you didn't realise. Should we move on to the podcast topics?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Go on. So what we got?
We got I think the Rooney saga, and I looked at this and I thought, I'm just sick of playing Rooney, and I'm sick of hearing all these stories. But then it came out that Lallana and Henderson visited a strip club, which makes it altogether more interesting.
See, that's what caught your attention, isn't it?
The strip club. Well, I hate strip clubs.
Do you go to strip clubs?
No, I've been to a few in my life. And
Where?
I went to one in Germany.
Stag do.
No, just
European away day.
Just went over there on my own. No, it was a European away day, and it might have been Prague actually. And
Different
basically went out, and all my brothers, which was a bit weird, like all my brothers in there, which I can kind of get my head around. But my dad was there as well, and there was a young woman.
The front.
Well, he was just standing at the bar and
on
he
a
was
table.
And this woman, obviously, because the strippers' jobs are there to kind of engage and talk to you and make you feel like.
Well, that's how they get paid, right?
Yeah, they make you feel like you
owe them.
Yeah, and
on the dance.
Yeah, to a dance. Okay. And obviously, my dad he's a respectful gentleman, even though he's a plumber or was a plumber. You'd expect plumbers to smash it up in a strip joint, but yeah, my dad weren't interested, which was good as his son to see. Your dad not get trundled off for a dance. It's not something I really want to be able to ever
trundled off. Don't come back for 3 hours.
Yeah,
spent his tie around his
head. Spent all my inheritance.
Lipstick all over his face.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway, my brother did. My brother went for a dance, and in this strip club, they had this very strange system of they wouldn't go behind a curtain, which is normal for these sort of things. But you'd had a metal cylinder, and inside this metal cylinder was a round table and a seat for the punter to sit in, and the woman would dance on the table and get a minge out on that. And then, is that all right? That's not sexist. Minge is just the word
sexist,
minge.
It's just it's not a nice word, is it? To just drop in there.
You've got an issue with names of lady parts.
Well,
last week you recalled at vagina. Sorry.
No, it's just like, come on.
Poo-poo.
I don't know.
Right, whatever. Look,
maybe it's because I'm gonna have a daughter and I'm like my life's got more serious. But
no, you're right.
But
I'm not gonna have a daughter, and you can't stop me from being who I am. I'm not this person. Anyway, yeah. So my brother goes off for a dance, and these cylinders are on timers, like 10-minute timers, and after the 10-minute goes, sort of turns around. It takes away the kind of romance of it. But after 10 minutes,
so it's like The Voice.
A little bit like that.
So it's like pressing the turn round and you can...
exactly, but you don't press the button to turn around. Just after a timer, it comes round like that. Yeah. And the cylinder comes round and then you're open to everybody. So this is after 10 minutes. He does this. The cylinder turns around and was like, Ryan's been a long while. They look up there and Ryan, my brother, the stripper is sitting down and my brother's in his pants swinging him around in the air. And he's spent his money on a stripper to give her a dance because he thought it would be funny, and it was funny actually. Jeez. Kind of turned it around. He got kicked out.
Jeez Louise.
He got kicked out.
Yeah.
European away days. Like, we were talking about this in the office. Like when you were on a European away day in football, there's things you wouldn't dream of doing or thinking about. The minute you go on a European away trip, become
acceptable.
Okay.
I
don't want to go into any more details than that.
Give us just one.
Prostitutes is one.
Jesus, what?
What? You asked me to say it.
So are you in fact, crying out loud.
Categorically, I've never ever visited a lady of the night, though I don't have any issue with that. If a woman wants to use her body to make money, then that's entirely her prerogative. All I'm saying is that football fans, specifically men, change the minute they go on holiday with other men.
Is that?
Especially around football, it's like normal. Yeah. So all right. But anyway, back to Lallana and Henderson.
Yeah, I have some terrible stories actually, but because I've come into this without thinking, I'm not just going to start wading into some of these stories.
No, don't.
Because it'll be bad.
Yeah, it will be bad, and this is life. No, it's not.
So Lallana and Henderson, essentially, they've gone to a strip bar.
Right, so the story is that obviously after...
In fact, tell me it through their eyes.
First person.
So you're... Go on. You're Lallana.
Like,
have England played yet?
Yeah, England have played. They've been like out.
Rooney.
I'm a Rooney. You've seen Wayne Rooney. He's pissed as a. He was going to come strip club of us, wasn't he?
So am I John Henderson now?
You be Henderson. I'll be Lallana.
Yeah,
he's seen Rooney's pissed out of his skull.
Yeah, he's probably going to shag them two birds upstairs.
Yeah, he's going to take them upstairs, definitely.
I might call the son.
Yeah, call the son. But before that, like, how do you fancy driving all the way to Bournemouth? And going to a strip bar.
Yeah, of course I do. I mean, it's not far, is it?
100-mile round trip.
Easy.
To go for us.
We've got fast cars.
Yeah, we've got fast cars.
Can we speed?
Yeah, probably.
Brilliant.
I'm not drinking as well because I'm teetotal.
Okay, I might have a couple. Am I teetotal?
I think you are rather than I am. I've just read the notes.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, so they go there and it's... my question and how this comes about is it isn't so much... it's about how they're treated. Because last week we did this thing called with Mind Huddle.
The Mind Share.
We did this kind of conference. Loads of people turned up.
I heard you nailed that as well. You really,
I thought, we did all right. Well, it's easy because we're talking about football. They're asking us to talk about football and talk about Ball Street, and I can do those things.
Okay.
So that wasn't a difficult thing to do. But one of the subjects, and we're talking to Alex Scott, who was also on the panel, the international footballer.
Arsenal ladies captain.
Yeah, and
lovely lady as well.
She scores 15 goals a season from right back.
Does she?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I even played a mate of mine, junior.
Yeah.
We play on FIFA every now and again, right?
Oh, you can play as a women's lady.
Yeah, so we played as women's, and he was USA and I was England, and I put Alex Scott in just because it's Alex.
What was she rated?
I forget. So the women's ratings, they don't rate them according to men's.
Right.
So it's not like women's are all 50 or something
Yeah,
like
nor
that, because
should
men are 80. Yeah, I'm just giving you...
Yeah.
So they're like 80. I think she's maybe like 80 or something like that. I forget now.
Can you mix women
I won 3-0.
Oh, good. Well, that's important. Can you mix women and men, Matt, in this game? Because they're talking about equality.
I'm not sure you can.
They're talking about equality. Maybe they should do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can play men against women.
In the next one. In the next one, maybe. Yeah, but so one of the things she was talking about on this panel is about footballers being treated as human beings first. Not forget they are footballers, they have responsibility, but ultimately they're human beings.
It's true, yeah.
And when you're drinking, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to go past the point where you can't return. So
yeah, you're pissed.
So after
you've
two, you've gone.
You're stupid.
And you're invested, and now your brain's thinking a little bit differently.
Yeah.
You're not making logical decisions.
Yeah.
That happens to me around after about 2.5 pints. I'll start thinking, right, I'm ready to finish this now.
You go quite early then.
I just get I'm not drunk by that stage, but I'm infused with the idea of getting drunk.
You're lubricated.
Socially
you feel loose.
Yeah.
You're quite willing to be... come out of your shell a little
manipulated into going to a strip bar.
Right, okay.
That could happen.
Okay.
In Bournemouth, 100 miles away.
Yeah. So this is why this is what happened. They were pissed. Next thing.
Yeah. Next thing, they're in a car. Hendo's going, I'm not sure this is a good idea, but he's gone past the point of where it's socially acceptable to say, can you turn the car around? So he's driving there against his will.
So where did they start off?
I don't know.
But were they in Liverpool or were they in Manchester?
No, it would have been around England, so they'd probably been in London.
Right, but they've gone to Bournemouth. So there must be a girl at this strip bar that they're particularly fond of, surely.
Maybe that would be an assumption, but that is categorically don't know. Both of them have partners, but we don't know.
Okay.
But one of the strippers said, "We see them in here all the time." Or we see Lallana in here all the time.
Right.
They also said that he used to be a nice guy, but it's all gone to his head.
So he's changed.
He's changed a bit.
Adam Lallana's changed.
Yeah, and that's not the first time I've heard this. Referees talked about him, Lallana, saying he used to be really polite, and he's kind of changed as he's got a bit older.
And he's got a bit more established as an England player.
Have you noticed?
It must be hard though to keep your feet on the floor. I mean, look, it's easy for us to sit here as just mere mortals. But people that go through a big change where they become popular, they get exposure. So, in YouTube terms, someone like, KSI or Spencer or, even to a lesser degree, but True Geordie or even Robbie or someone like that.
It's hard to not be affected as a human.
Yeah, it must be that they, all of a sudden, people are queuing up to chat to you, to wanting a piece of you. You've got that big audience.
They're feeding your ego.
Yeah, so that must be hard. But then if you're a bloody footballer and you're kind of in this country on a real pedestal, and you're scoring for England, you're scoring in these finals, you're getting paid all this cash, it must be so... It's hard to sit here and go, oh, what a dick, you've changed.
Yeah.
Of course they've changed.
Yeah.
The world's changed around them, because for a while, I'm sure Adam Lallana, although he's fairly handsome, I guess, and I'm sure he's got great charisma when he talks. But if he's going up, if before he's out on the, he's going out and talking to women, and they're like, all right, yeah, you're okay. But now everyone knows who he is. So maybe the world's kind of changed rather than him in a way. Because now it's like people are...
the world's reaction to him.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of maybe not him that's changed, maybe the world's reaction has, which kind of makes you then have to filter things, which means that rather than before you're just going around doing your business, but now you've got to take a selfie with everyone every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That you're going to get to the point where he's like, look, I can do one more, or let me finish my food, or I'm fucking late.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So maybe he's not a dick, but maybe just you can't give everyone that wants a piece of you a piece of you.
No, and at some point as a human being, you're going to get tired, and you're going to slip up, and you're going to accidentally drive 100 miles to a strip bar. This sort of stuff happens, but I think you just give them a break a little bit. I mean, You know, like you're talking about the world train, then the world changes around them.
Oh yeah.
And you.
That was new. I never thought that before, but it is true, isn't it?
Yeah,
the world
absolutely.
changes around them as much as they change.
Yeah, and what do you do when things around you change? You adapt. As a human being, you adapt, and that's not also always in the most positive way, but generally it's in a way that protects you.
And it's not always easy. That's usually a bit of a transition as well.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So it's not. So if someone's had a quick transformation, so. Mind you, I don't know if you can accuse Lallana of that, given that he went from Southampton into the Premier League, then he went to Liverpool, and he's been there a few years. It's not like that, is it? It's not overnight.
No, but the money he would have been getting, it was a couple of promotional seasons, and he was suddenly earning a lot of money. And
he's still quite young. How old is he?
No, he's at 26.
Craig, how old is he?
How old is Lallana?
26 is young, I'm afraid.
26, 27.
Right.
As a man,
that's young.
Yeah, it is young. You're going for a lot of transitions. In 27, 28, that was a big transition for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, definitely.
21 typically is as well.
In your mid-20s,
yeah.
Right, and I know we'll have a lot of people that will be watching this that will be at that age group, and maybe people that are younger.
Yeah.
But at that age, you don't know what you don't know about who you are, where you fit into the world.
But the world around you expects you to, because you're in that age. I found that difficult.
But look at... God, man, that's as we've actually touched on this before. But a lot of footballers, when they're young, they do stupid things, and you look at them and you go, "Why have you done that?" That's why have you what Mourinho? Do you remember when Mourinho and his move, and then all of a sudden he's on Twitter going, "Was it you that was trying to sign? Was it Tottenham trying to sign him?"
Yeah.
And then he went on Twitter, didn't he? And was like, "They're holding me back," or whatever it was, and everyone was like, "What are you doing, mate?
Yeah.
This is stupid." It's like,
he's a young man.
He's a young guy
in a situation we're not equipped to deal with.
Exactly. It's so strange, and I'm sure that he'll learn from that. Is the point? So it's difficult. You don't, when you're in the public eye, you don't always get your second chance at that, because you're judged. And look at the world right now. Anything moment that's happened, if you do a text out of context, or you make a mistake, you say something wrong, when the video cameras are on live TV, there's no stopping that. But there's also it amplifies, and you get judged. And also, so it's difficult, really, because
players get criticised also for being boring in interviews. They get that straight bat in every answer. They're media trained, but because they get fucking crucified if they don't say anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah. And meanwhile, there's a bunch of people that are there just kind of almost waiting
like vultures.
Wait, he said that. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Maybe I can twist that. And actually, the way let's not look at the way. I mean, we don't do this because it's not how our business is. But you see a lot of football media, sports publications around the world. The way they'll take an interview. And then what they'll do is they will kind of twist the context of that to create a headline that's gonna sell papers or make people click on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Linkbait. There's loads of that stuff.
100%.
It's the old one where people go, "Oh my God, look at Manchester United's latest signing," and obviously Man United fans are like, "Fucking, I'll click on that. What's the signing?" And it's like they've just signed a Malaysian drinks partner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or they've just brought in this new coach that's going to do X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
And they're putting out a headline in order to get people to do it. So the role that the media, the role that a lot of the world plays, it's probably not conducive towards people in the public eye to be giving and accommodating.
Yeah. Do you think when the Sun produced that headline and the picture, when they had the picture and the headline in mind for Rooney, that they were thinking, we're doing the right thing by exposing this because it's solving the problem, it's helped solving some of the problems that are around England? No. Or are they thinking, we know exactly what our audience wants, this will make them buy this paper, this will make them click on that link?
Yeah.
Or even more sinister, are they controlling? So they're using their position as influencers to control what the people say, and then once they've established that narrative, to feed it with sub-stories over the next few days. Ooh, that's much more likely.
I picked that one.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I was just wondering, in your younger years, before obviously you're having a baby,
jackets and shitty.
Do you ever pretend that you was a footballer to pull a bird in a club?
Let me think back. I don't know if I do. However, a good mate of mine was a guy called Hoggy, so I'll say, and he is actually
not his real name.
No, it is, but he's a great footballer, right?
Yeah,
a great footballer. So he left foot like a wand, and he played. I think he had a few league games, but essentially he played semi-pro. great footballer.
Yeah.
And we were in Vegas once, and he came out with this game, right? And on this game, I can tell you, part of it was, but his was really football games, at this mind trick game that he'd got from his football mates when they used to go out and speak to birds, right?
Yeah.
And what it essentially is, it's a coded message that. So what we'll do is we'll chat to a girl and we'll somehow make out that we've got some degree of psychic thing going on, right? And that you can ultimately determine what's been said, right? And even though you just met, so I'll speak to the girl. I'll be like, yeah, me and Flav, blah, 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 psychic, this so and so and so and so. She'll be like, oh, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
And then what happens is we start talking to her, and I've already established a couple of bits of information about her, and then I just talk, but I talk about in a random way, but the clue is the first letter of each word that I say starts to spell out the answer to something like, what's her first pet? So say her first pet was called Goldie, right? I'd say something like, I'd start to say, G would, I'd be like, going on.
You'd have to be good at that. That's a lot of brain, especially when you're drunk.
Yeah, but you do get into a zone, right? So you basically give the answer, and then they get impressed. And we did, and so we ended up with these girls, and ended up spending the weekend with us in Vegas.
The weekend?
Yeah, the weekend.
Player.
Well,
sort of.
Yeah.
Mine's less glamorous to that. I just said I was Seb Larson. I was a reserve team footballer called Seb Larson at the time, who played for Birmingham.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember him.
That worked.
Yeah, he used to hit the odd free kick. Actually,
it's lying's
not cool. No.
To get into.
No.
I mean, my end game. I didn't think.
I've never been a big liar. Though. I'm not a fan of lying. To further my ends, actually. I did once pull. Well, in fact, probably didn't play it hard enough, but we met Robbie from Take That, Robbie Williams, and this was so I was like 18 and he was about a similar age. I think Take That had just started, and we were on holiday and we bumped into Cafe Del Mar, Cafe Mambo, whatever in Ibiza, and we ended up chatting to him and hanging out with him a bit, right? And he was dead sound, and he was just young like us. Yeah. So we ended up seeing him out later in that club, and then we ended up arranging to meet him at these rocks the next day, and like diving off into this water. And
with Robbie Williams.
Right?
You arranged to meet him dive into the sea rocks.
This is
years. And he turned up.
Yeah. Well, he said, we're going down to these rocks, are down there. Come down. It should be good. And we went down there, and we were. It was funny because we got chatting, right, and I'd seen this girl on the plane, right, and this girl looked like an ex-girlfriend of mine that I'd aspired to, but I'd got with a bit, aspired to call Lucy, and this girl that we'd seen on the plane had got a limp, right, so my friends obviously called her Limping Lucy,
of course.
So we were telling Robert about Limping Lucy, and because we'd seen her, and he's like, oh yeah, like that, and he's like, right, let's go pull her now. So me and Robbie were going. With beers.
You pulled Limpin' Lucy with Robbie Williams.
No,
this is incredible.
This was what we were going to do.
Right.
But as we were walking to Limpin' Lucy, it was one of them where we were walking up, and I'm just thinking, obviously in complete panic mode, like this is surreal. I'm only like 18, something like that. So we're walking up towards Limpin' Lucy, just as she turns around and goes, like that. And me and Robbie are going. And then she kind of like limp runs past us and throws herself into the arms of this far bigger, stronger, cooler, more tanned, long hair guy. And so we kind of went, it's kind of.
Well, that's one for
that's not going to work now, is it?
But she ran past Robbie Williams, more to the point.
Well, she just she didn't run right past us, this is a 3D environment.
Have you spoken to Robbie much since?
No.
I always quite like Robbie.
But this is the day before WhatsApp linked to. We've got a couple of pictures with him, which we've got. But again, this is before. I mean, this was like this must have been 1990, fucking something like that. Yeah. So it was before like Facebook phones. And
you tried.
Stuff like that.
That's the main thing. You tried.
Got a few stories like
come
that,
up with
actually.
a devised.
Vanilla Ice was my favourite, but
Vanilla Ice.
We'll do that another day.
Okay, I'm
only telling the Vanilla Ice story.
All right, tell me when you stop recording, and
I'll
I'll decide.
If someone tweets us, or I'll ask for it with #podquestions.
All right, if you want to know the Vanilla Ice story, no, sorry, that was a vanilla story. There's a much darker part to it. Is it very dark?
No, it's
go dark.
No, Vanilla Ice.
You got a story about Vanilla Ice?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I've got to hear that.
Dubai, New Year's Eve.
How about we save that for next week?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't even a good story, was it?
That was a great story. Hang on a minute. You went
just a name drop.
You went to put a woman with a limp with Robbie Williams, and she ignored the pair of you and jumped into the arms of another man. That's a great story.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. English managers: Sean Dyche and is it Dyche? Craig just shrugs his shoulders. He doesn't know. Dyche and Tony Pulis. They're playing each other last night. They played.
What? Just FIFA?
No,
Call of Duty.
West Brom and Burnley
Squash?
are playing each other,
Okay.
and by the time the pod comes up, they would have played.
Not as interesting.
No, but that would be nice. Yeah, I imagine that they would just teaming up on the pool.
On a stripper.
Oh, could you imagine that? Pulis and Dyche just railing a bird. Disgusting.
Like me and Robbie.
Yes, but that would have been. I'd be fine. I'd watch that because it's Robbie Williams. You have to. Well, if you had the opportunity to watch Robbie Williams have sex, you'd watch.
I don't know if I would.
There's some things, opportunities you don't get very often, and whether or not it's good or bad is irrelevant.
Yeah.
You've got to take these things when you have an opportunity to.
Fine.
Anyway, so Sean Dyche and Tony Pulis, they're quite bitter about the influx of very forward-thinking and expressive managers, and I think they feel a bit bitter that they haven't been offered the opportunity to manage at some of the top clubs in the country, and practically all of those jobs have gone to foreign managers,
right?
Like Pochettino, like Klopp. Obviously, Wenger's been there a long time, but Guardiola.
Yeah.
And they're quite bitter the fact that they're stuck at Burnley and West Brom, respectively. I think.
Okay.
And one of the things,
I mean, that's a little bit patronising to be bitter that they're at these clubs. Surely they're kind of quite proud of their bodies of work at these clubs. So
I'm sure they are,
and they have a great relationship with the fan base and stuff like that.
I think
it's
they
a little
feel
bit patronising. I mean, did they say this?
Yeah.
Are you quoting them that saying, "I'm pissed off. I'm stuck here at fucking Burnley. I want to go. I want to go and manage at Anfield or a big club."
Well,
fuck this little. Listen, club. They're not saying that. No, why are you putting words in? Why have you turned into the Sun?
I'm not. Although sometimes using some of the tactics the Sun use make for better content on a podcast. That said, Sean Dyche said this directly: talk about tactics all you want, but what have the super coaches really done? They've come in and said we're going to run harder. Klopp, Guardiola, Pochettino, Conte is a mixed bag. Sometimes absorbs, sometimes presses. You don't have to be European to know a team's got to work hard. English managers were talking about it years ago, and he's talking about the revolution. It's a revolution. In 1938, they played 4-3-3 in the World Cup final, but apparently 4-3-3 only came in the last years. So Dyche sounds a bit bitter there, a little bit bitter. Yeah.
So, okay, this is weird,
right?
So,
and Pulis said, just to end this part of just proof. Pulis said they say Jurgen Klopp trains for 3 times a day in pre-season. Unbelievable. I've never thought of that. They come into our country. They're sexy. They're new. They're bright. They're just.
All right. I'll tell you what. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a weird one, this, because when people are quoted and what they actually mean and what they said, and who knows what the truth is. But
yes,
it does sound a tiny little bit bitter, right? It does.
Can't escape that fact.
And they're kind of simplifying certain things, like saying hard work, like. No one is sitting here going, fucking hell, Klopp says you've got to work hard. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone said that, have they?
I think
that's not what Klopp is. That what Klopp's known for, as being this a bringer of hard work.
He's known for implementing a system that requires hard work in order for it to be successful. Same as Pochettino.
Yeah. Okay.
But. Look, all right, an example would be that an ex-Southampton player, I think it might have been Lovren. Schneiderlin, when he played for Southampton, he said under Pochettino that in order to succeed under Pochettino, you need 3 lungs and 2 hearts.
Right.
But he also played under, who's that other guy?
Oh, Brendan Rodgers? No. The other guy.
Before
was it Scunthorpe?
Took over Pochettino.
Oh my God, what's his name?
Nigel
Atkins, that's the one.
He never said that under Nigel Atkins, so maybe Nigel Atkins didn't get him working as hard as Pochettino.
Okay, right, I've got something here. I've got something here, because he's talking about Guardiola, Klopp, Pochettino, and all these big names, right? These
sexy names.
These super club sexy name managers, right? So, and I know that everyone loves when we talk about Huddersfield Town. Huddersfield manager's David Wagner. Wagner was Klopp's B team manager at Dortmund, right? And he was also, I think he's been working with Klopp for many years, best man at his wedding. Now he's the Huddersfield manager. He became the Huddersfield manager halfway through last season, right? Now, what has become abundantly clear is that the Huddersfield Town players have never worked as hard as they have done beforehand. This is our first sexy manager, and even is he actually sexy because he's not Klopp? He's not even been the first.
He hasn't got the name.
He's not got the name. But he's foreign, and he's come in, and his body of work and his ideas are kind of similar to Klopp's, right? So one of the things that I've noticed and that people talking about is the fact that they're training, they have double, triple sessions all the time. And a lot of the players have been having to get used to this because what they're used to doing is having a lot of time off, right? Now, we've sat here with, just over there, Danny Gabidon.
Yeah.
And Danny Gabidon was talking about a lot of these former English managers. I think Neil Warnock was one of them.
Yep.
There are a few more. And he was basically saying that they didn't go on the training pitch. They didn't. Gary Megson was one of the guys.
Yeah.
And they weren't working hard enough, essentially. That's one of the things that was said. Now, getting back to Wagner, what Wagner's also done, which I think is a clever way of doing this, right? I think it is. We've been doing shite since, but if we're playing a game on an evening game, he trains us for the few days beforehand, where he can. He'll make them train at 7:45, 8 o'clock at night. Or if we're playing an early kickoff, say we've got a Saturday at 12 o'clock, we'll train at 12 o'clock every day that week. The logic being is that if your body starts to get used to training and being at that time of day, you're going to be used to it rather than surprised by it.
Of course.
Now, I've seen this happen in MMA a lot. I've seen this happen in the UFC. The UFC card, I forget if it's number 2 or 3, whatever it was, but Michael Bisping fought Dan Henderson in Manchester maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now, because they wanted that to appeal to a West Coast audience in America, rather than fighting at 9 o'clock in the English time, which is what would be the decent thing to do, their cage walk was at like 5 a.m. in the morning.
In England?
In England.
That's madness.
True story, right? True story. So that it would work for American audiences, right? And pay-per-view over there, right? So Bisping, Henderson, everyone that's fighting on that card, their method of logic that they applied, they didn't train during the day for England. They were sleeping up until midday, and then they were going and training, but each of them was training at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, so that their body, by the time they come through to the fight, would used to been active. Because if you didn't do, and then all of a sudden you were staying up that night, guess what? You're not going to be at your peak performance because your body's not used to it.
Can I ask a question?
So,
All right.
all I'm saying is, I think that foreign managers potentially, like, this is the first time I've heard of this from Wagner, who's a part of this Klopp thing. He's not a sexy manager, but that's an example of him doing something that I've never heard of from any other Huddersfield Town manager. I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm saying based on what I can see.
Progressive thinking is what
Progressive thinking.
Yeah. Just back on that thing 1 second. Why didn't they just fight in America?
Well, because they try and do a certain amount of events in other parts of the world in order to grow the markets. Bisping is obviously a British guy. And the arena sold out in double quick time.
Really?
Yeah, really quick time. And it worked. Now, they're obviously getting all the pay-per-view there, and people still turn up and watch. The arena was still absolutely banging, and it looked a great event. I didn't stay up and watch it live myself, but...
Fair enough. I think the stuff with Dyche and Pulis, they're simplifying the impact that some of these coaches have had over this bitterness, in my opinion. Okay, so they've talked about training and working doubly hard, like that's not something that Pulis would do or think about doing. I'm sure it would.
Everyone works hard and trains hard.
There is a reason why Liverpool are second in the league currently isn't because they work hard. There's so much more to it, obviously. So otherwise the team that run the most would win the league, and that isn't the case each and every year.
Yeah. The other thing I'd say with regards to that though is, like, I can't help. Now, I've spent a good bit of time with people that are within the game. I've been fortunate enough to sit and watch an entire match of football with Hoddle, Ferdinand, Righty, so and so, and just sit there chatting to them the whole way through that game, just like it'd be us three sitting here and watching it. And although Glenn Hoddle is definitely one of the most intelligent and I think more forward-thinking guys, and he did. I mean, at Swindon, he was playing the sweeper and stuff like that, and 3-5-2 at a time when nobody else did. And I think
It's all about splitting the wingers as well. I think he had these strange ways of
yeah,
not strange, but strange at the time.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't say that creative thinking is something that we don't have whatsoever. However, what I would say is that I don't think that there's in football in the UK, I think that we are a bit behind actually in England, and I think you can see that with the national team. I think you can see that with the way that the national team and the whole game's kind of structured and delivered here.
And the way English teams are performing in Europe to a certain extent as well, I should think.
Yeah, but English players as well. I mean, for crying out loud, like Gerrard, Lampard, all these guys, little world beaters when they were slipping it through to Fernando Torres or when he was great that year, or Drogba. But it's easy when you've got Makelele and these people around you, but when they were then in the England team, they all look panicked and shite. So I mean, for me, and it's just my opinion, I think that Pulis and Dyche, although they're quite successful managers to a degree, it sounds bitter.
It does, and I think one interesting one is with Eddie Howe is the fact that this is a young man who's very progressive. He's naturally kind of got the virile nature that a manager in his young 30s should have, and be open to new ideas and be ready to learn. And I think Eddie Howe is inevitably that he will get a job at a top club. I think if anything happened to Pochettino, I'd love Eddie Howe to come to Tottenham. So that would be an interesting one because it'd be a juxtaposition: an English manager getting a job at a top club. You can understand their frustrations as well.
But I mean, crying out loud, right? To be honest, for a long time, English managers have been few and far between. The most successful managers have tended to be Scottish managers. You know, you obviously look at Fergie, even the likes of Kenny Dalglish, George Graham, a jock. Was he a jock?
Yeah, and if you go further back, Dave Mackay won the league with Derby, another jock. Scottish
and I'm sure that there's probably more of that. My football knowledge is terrible, but I know there's been obviously a load of great Scottish managers, even like Souness, who won honours. Yeah, but I would say Scottish managers are better than English managers.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, just look at Ferguson.
What's next?
I think you know.
What's next topic, Flav?
Safe standing. So big moment actually, because the first time
this tide's growing, isn't it?
We've
been talking about it for a while. You've been passionate about it for a long time.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Tottenham actually I'd say about 4 years ago now, and the Fighting Cock. I mention it every week, but if you're a Spurs fan and don't listen to the Fighting Cock, then download it. You might enjoy it. But we did a survey. 2,500 people responded to the safe standing survey, and we posted
how many?
2,500, which is a fair amount to get a decent idea about what the demographic of Tottenham fans think about something like safe standing. And we posted one to the club, and we hand delivered one to ensure that they got it, because we thought it was an important piece of work. And the club met us. They decided to meet us on the back of this, because obviously we took it seriously. We expected them to, and they did. And I met with a safety officer, a lady named Sue Tilling, who's a wonderful lady. That's without sarcasm. She's genuinely a good woman. But her response was, Tottenham, the law on this isn't going to change. It's a non-starter. And that was the attitude at clubs for a long time. And I think what's great about it is that fans have been talking about this, not letting it go. There's been great organisations like the Road, Safe Standing Roadshow, the Football Supporters Federation, Ball Street, and others just constantly been talking about this subject and not letting it go. And 3 years later, the stadium have in it at Tottenham provisions for safe standing. So they've either, that was the line I was given, or that's the most likely thing, just to make me go away. But whatever's happened in the last 3 years, given the sway of opinion and tide of opinions changing, and clubs like Tottenham have no provision in.
I mean, look, it's human nature, sadly, that most people tend to not be that receptive to change.
No,
you know, I remember when the internet started, people thought that was a fad. You know, people thought that was a fad at first.
Yeah,
but you know, people like
What were they saying? You know that internet thing.
Yeah,
That's
there
a
were
fad.
people like, well, you know,
And then what happened was you can get porn on it, and then they're like,
no, but people used to think, right, well, you're never gonna buy anything on there. You're never gonna put your credit cards into there. Like, oh, I'll look at stuff, but I'm never gonna do that.
Yeah.
And now look where we are.
Yeah.
You know, and for businesses have always gone, oh, well, that thing, now we'll never do that. No, we'll never do that thing. And in time, it changes because people's attention, the things that people are looking for, that evolves. You know, young people that come now, ultimately, you know, us as well. You just glued to this, so now it's the mobile.
Absolutely.
You know, so things change, and culturally things change because people's attention and people's wants and desires kind of change with it. And once numbers start to get there, all these traditional people that just want things to be the way that they were before, they have to kind of give up and concede. So the fact that other people have been activists about that and have challenged it and have put it on the table has meant that it's become a bit of a conversation to say Celtic do stuff, don't they?
Celtic have the first, certainly at a top tier club, the first trial of for safe standing. So they
well
have
done,
it
Celtic.
in place there. They I don't know the full story, so I don't want to tell it and get it wrong. But they got
on that, Celtic.
Celtic very much should be applauded, but they got that.
We bring it back.
They got it through the back door. Celtic did. They kind of put their.
But it don't matter how they got it through, where they got it. It's done, right?
Right. So I want to find this story. 'Cause it is interesting. Okay. But they basically put the basically.
What are you saying?
There's a new word.
What is this new word you've created?
It means massively
basic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, they managed to trick their local authority, the safety advisor, into
that.
He had to. He put himself in a situation where he couldn't give the right answer. So it was something about allowing access to the vomitories. I'll find.
Is this important?
It's important because it took a manipulation of the system in order to get this happen. But now it's happened.
But now it's happened. It's a precedent,
opening.
and other people are able to use that and say, well, it works there. Because the interesting thing about safe standing, we did a podcast on this a while back with Football Supporters Federation.
Yeah, we talked about
with
it.
Amanda and. I forget the guy's name. Really cool guy though. But we did a podcast on this, didn't we?
Sorry, his name. I know him as well. Michael from Sunderland.
Mike. How did we forget that? Yeah, Michael. But one of the things that they spoke about, because I remember the Lord Justice Taylor, Chief Justice Taylor, because Hillsborough happened, didn't they? And essentially that was used as a way to justify making football stadiums all seaters and doing certain things.
I think
Is that right?
It came from a position of genuine goodwill and how do we make these places safer? So I think
it ended up becoming a part of the same thing, didn't we? And it was almost like
the Taylor report.
It's not safe. It became.
Yeah, the Taylor report often is. People look at it and think it's a bad thing, but it wasn't. It was about changing and making football safer, to remove hooliganism, to. The terminology now, you look at it and it says we aim to gentrify football and make it a middle class sport. So some of the things aren't
That's what they
correct.
said in
but
the Justice Taylor report.
Yeah,
how can you be classist like that? We aim to make it a middle class sport. They said that.
Yeah, it is. The words are in there.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What the fuck does that even mean? We aim to
Now
make
you're making me doubt
football
myself.
a working, just for middle class people.
Not for middle class. They wanted to remove the thuggish element, which they presume came from the working classes. Let me check that out. But let's just say for the sake of the conversation that their ultimate aim, and I think this is, even if they didn't use the words, the fact that it has been gentrified and it has been made a middle class sport.
Right.
But ultimately, the place is safer, but we've reached a time where. The stadiums aren't safe. They're much safer with safe standing, because people are injuring themselves. They are falling downstairs. This is against the general will of football fans. So it is time to change. It is time to accept that this is going to be an inevitable part of it and not fight it too much. I think let's allow it to just. I
mean, crying out loud, right? If you've got, I keep saying crying out loud. I don't know why the fuck do I keep saying that.
It's good phrase.
But why does? I just can't believe in this day and age that people don't have an area in a football match where if they want to stand up, that they can. Because you go to stadiums and people do.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
every game.
Every stadium. So if people are going to do that anyway, why don't you have a place that people want to stand up can go, but it's done safely.
Yeah.
You know, let's not leave huge spikes there. You know, let's do it in a safe way, of course. But let's not say that you can't do it either, because when people score, people jump up, and when you jump up and there's these little tiny seats around you, you're gonna fall. I've fallen over.
Yeah, you scrape.
So that feels to me more dangerous than an area where you can stand and jump up and down, but you've not got things that are essentially going to make you fall that way or that way.
I don't think it's logic though. Logic isn't what's stopping this. It's political aspect to it. Yeah, ultimately this needs to be a law passed to ensure that football clubs can actually do it. Which I get, but all I'm saying is that logic, right? What I've just spoke about there. Yeah.
You score a goal. What do? Even if you're, you see the odd old guy, the old dear at the football, and they don't want to be up and down all the time, do they? They want to sit down and be comfortable and watch the game. Fine, I'm fine for that. But equally, some people, when all of a sudden the ball goes, they're going to be up like that, looking, it's a corner, and this is what's happening at a football match constantly. So that, by the seats, is a little bit dangerous as well. So I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't feel like the situation that we're in now is actually logical. No. So why don't we try the laws should be in favour of creating the best logical outcome, rather than it's a law and we need to change the law.
I think all of the campaigning,
so the law feels a bit out of date and a bit wrong.
I think it's just they're not wanting to engage politically on this subject because it's difficult.
Because they're scared.
They're scared. Well. But I think it's inevitable that now that logical case has been pushed so hard that it can't be denied, and it's kind of a shame because
this is when change tends to come.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden it gets to the point where it feels that you're actually stupid to not do this thing. Where at first, if 10 years ago or 4 years ago, when you turned up, when I think we should have safe standing, and you hand delivered your no, they're not going to go, "That's a great idea, Flav. Let's change that." They're going to sit there and wait until a moment like now where they're talking about doing it, they're talking about doing it, Celtic have done it, and actually maybe in this new thing that we're doing, if this is what our people want, maybe we should do that.
I mean
so maybe we're at that point now whereby it doesn't feel so stupid for them to do it, because people don't like to stick their necks out, especially when they're in a conservative, and I don't mean the political party, but I mean a conservative, don't like change kind of role, which is usually the elite that are very happy with the way things are and don't want to change because they ultimately like their position in the food chain.
Yeah, I think it's a shame actually, because this will happen, and it's a shame for Liverpool, because I think they're going to be the only
clubs that won't do it,
and you can understand that.
Yeah,
it's such a tense and difficult issue, hard to talk about actually.
But that whole thing, and I don't want to be. I know we've not done a lot of research for this, so if we're saying things that are wrong, caveat it, and I apologise for it. But some of the changes that have the resolutions to Hillsborough and the vindication of the supporters, which has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Does that change anything to do with the stadium thing?
I think so. Ultimately, you're saying was the blame was with the police rather than the stadium design. And
with the fans, it was with the way it was policed, because they made a lot of people go through a gate when actually it should have been spread. Yeah,
it's come out that's categoric now, isn't it? That the police were to blame,
and the people have been vindicated.
Yeah, I think it's become an easier subject to talk about.
Right.
Definitely.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think the problem that Liverpool had is that it's such an emotive subject rather than one. It's too close.
Yeah, and it is for the whole of football though. Like, I mean, I was watching. So that was the FA Cup semi, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
And I was at Huddersfield on the same day and I remember it starting to emerge, and people starting to talk about it at the time, and it was like, because you go to the football every week, you felt that it was everyone felt that.
Yeah, I think maybe
because it was some,
I know why Liverpool can't engage, and I know the Spirit of Shankly are they're currently canvassing their supporters and their members to decide if they're allowed to have a position. So this isn't even saying This is what our position is going to be. How do you vote? Which way you should do it? They're voting currently to decide whether they even should have a position.
Right. Okay.
Because
so that's completely the prerogative of Liverpool supporters and the club, and it's for them to work out how they feel about that. It's not our place to judge in any way, shape or form, other than to say that we understand whatever happens or whatever they think in that regard. However, on a personal level, at Huddersfield Town, I'd like there to, when I'm going to games, I'd like there to be a place where we're able to stand.
Yeah.
That's my.
I think
like.
ultimately, thinking about forget the words.
To be honest, sometimes I'd sit down.
Yeah.
I would sometimes. Yeah.
I think ultimately,
if I know we're going to get a pasting.
Yeah, so nice sit down there. I think ultimately it's a case of not the word standing is the issue, and actually we're moving towards safer stadium rather than just a standing stadium. I think that's the key thing to remember.
It was like back in those days, man. Football was chaos in the grounds. It was chaos. There's no CCTV or anything like that. There's not even necessarily TV cameras there. It's not like every game now there's cameras on. But it was chaos. I remember teams coming and taking over our end. Yeah. I remember Man City fans like pouring through our thing like that, and me just like it's literally fighting in lumps at the
Spurs
back.
have got a famous song about it. About when we
Go
did
on,
that.
I like this one. What was it?
It's I think it's a story. It's a story about on Boxing Day, Spurs were playing. It was in 1980 or 81. Spurs were playing Arsenal, and it might not have been Boxing Day, but it was another game. And at the time, Ardiles and Villa were being booed because of the conflict in Argentina.
Okay, yeah.
And the rule was that the Spurs hooligans had devised this thing where they were going to go into each side of the ends of the North Bank.
Yeah.
So they were going to congregate on both sides. So
this is quite organised.
Yeah, and as soon as Arsenal fans were whistling and booing, that would be the key for them to just charge in and smash all the Arsenal fans up. There's a couple of songs we have that are about taking the North Bank in half a minute. It took us that long.
Go on then.
Well, my old man said, "Be an Arsenal fan." I said, "Fuck off, bollocks, you're a..."
Sing it.
Oh, what?
Dude, just give us a tune. You don't
my
have to.
old man said, "Be an Arsenal fan." I said, "Fuck off, bollocks, you're a cunt." We took the North Bank in half a minute. We took the shed with Chelsea in it. We hammered the hammers with knives and spanners. QPR did not know where to run. That's that kind of thing.
That's a good song.
It is good. I mean, I'm not a fan of violence.
Well, in a couple of years' time, that'll be, you won't be able to sing about
but everyone's
things like that somehow.
Yeah.
We have one, and I can't remember all the words to it, but it's got this bit where it's got, "We're all lads around the bend, nobody takes the cowshed end."
Oh.
I know the tune's a bit wrong, but that's the kind of tune for it.
There's something about great
football
songs that aren't about the football team. My favourite football songs are never about the players on the pitch, right? They're never about the favourite one to the exact same tune as that at the moment is my favourite song. We sang it in France, we sang it in Spain, we sing in the sun, and we sang in the rain. They tried to stop us, but look what we did. The thing I love most is being a Yid. Right, so the Yid song, the Yid word, massively contentious. Yeah. Let's not get into that. What the hell are they saying?
It's a Sheffield United song. It's called "Greasy Chip Butty." Oh, greasy chip butty. It sounds great when it's. There are some great songs
but
like that.
They're about the culture around the club rather than. I just think it's an amazing thing.
I like when Birmingham sings shit on the Villa. That's always fun.
Yeah, it is.
And their End of the Road song sounds good, but there's some great. We should actually do one on. I don't know how easy it'd be to mix the music in, but we should talk about our favourite football songs because there's some amazing tunes. Old songs that teams have. There's one of that, "You'll Never Walk Alone" and "Blowing Bubbles," which seem to be
they're anthems really, but they're just kind of they wind everyone else up when you hear them.
Leeds have got "Marching On Together," which winds me up.
Blue Moon, Man City, that winds me up.
What else?
Don't know any of the Huddersfield ones.
Well, Huddersfield's we've got an amazing one.
Sorry, I'm being a dick.
You are a dick. That's what you do.
All right,
that's what I do, isn't it?
Good pod.
Oh, we're talking about Conor.
All right, let's do Conor McGregor.
What? Conor McGregor?
Yeah.
Oh, God, do you want to talk about that?
What time is it?
It's Conor time.
Was that
That's
20 to
not
3 on your
right,
phone?
I don't...
What time is it? Half
6:30.
Half 6.
Are we all right?
Hang on, let me just check. 2 seconds. I'm worried about my mates just being outside. I'll have to bring them in if they are. But yeah, let's start about Conor McGregor then, because we were having a little argument, weren't we? Upstairs.
Oh, so yeah. I remember now.
Yeah. So
McGregor versus Mayweather.
So this is what.
Whoa. Go
on.
Do
you want to
put
start?
words in my mouth?
This is what you said.
What
right?
did I do?
You said. I said they should fight each other if they've got to fight each other. I think it's a circus,
Yeah.
but
You said they should fight.
They should fight in both disciplines.
So what you're saying is that Conor McGregor and Mayweather should fight.
Yep.
If they've got to fight, but that they should fight once in the boxing ring,
On once
in boxing rules, and then once in the cage.
Right, and you
in
started,
the cage rules.
Yeah, and you started and you said McGregor would smash Mayweather. And
No, I didn't say that
hang
like
on,
a child.
We said it. We should cut. This is from our positions. Is I'm a big boxing fan. Matt likes boxing as well, but you're
boxing.
a big MMA fan.
I love boxing, but MMA's superseded it.
And
now.
ultimately, what we got is a bit of fanboyism from both of our sides here, right? So, but you said in the office, you said Mayweather would destroy.
No.
McGregor would destroy Mayweather in the octagon.
Let me tell you what I said.
Go on then.
What I said.
What did you say?
Coming in here telling me what I said.
All right, apologies.
I'll tell you what I said. What I said was there's no point them fighting in the octagon.
Yes, you did say that.
Yeah, there's no point.
Yeah.
Because McGregor would run through him in that regard.
Absolutely.
Like a hot knife through butter.
Absolutely.
After years and years and years of just fighting like that, you're not seeing kicks coming. Not only are you not seeing kicks coming, you're not equipped to deal with stabbing, oblique kicks that catch you just above the knee and take away your ability to throw a punch.
Yeah.
Nor are you able to defend someone that
Wrestling
just
as
kind of
well.
like a single leg and grab and takes you down.
Get it, I get it.
And then you're definitely not going to be able to control
I'm not
posture.
arguing this.
Yeah, I know, but for anybody out there
Just in case they
that
don't
doesn't understand it, were they to fight in the octagon, there's no point.
There is
no point.
There is a point because
No, there's no point.
because
It
there's no
wouldn't be-
point in
it's
in
not
boxing
safe
either.
for Floyd.
There's no point of in boxing either.
Well, that's where I disagree.
Because let's do
Go
this.
on.
You would take away. Is this our first argument? Feels like it. Sorry, 2 seconds.
So it's fighting cocks calling.
Yeah, Rick.
I don't want to do the podcast anymore, Rick.
I'm doing another podcast
I hate you,
right
Rick.
now, but I'm gonna get you in 2 seconds, alright? But that'll make it in the edit.
Go on.
McGregor's power would be significantly reduced by the gloves, 10-ounce gloves, right?
Are we fighting in boxing now?
Yes.
Or are we fighting in the octagon?
Yeah, he can't kick, which is one of his things.
Yeah.
And
so if they fought in the octagon,
there is no. That we
In
agreed.
boxing?
We agreed that
oh,
Mayweather
so you're
would
saying
get
that
destroyed.
Conor cannot?
But you're saying Conor
Okay.
could cope with Mayweather in the ring, and that's impossible. He
Go on
couldn't.
then. So you tell me this one.
Firstly, his left hand is great. He's powerful. McGregor's right. His left hand's powerful, but he's the power at which he can use that shot and the effect they will have is reduced because of the gloves, right?
Yeah.
So that's one aspect.
So,
of it.
yeah,
There's
the
no
gloves
fight-
in MMA are 4 to 6 pounds or something like that.
I think
in boxing,
they might be 12 or 10 or 12.
Yeah, it sounds about 12 might be about right. I forget the exact numbers, but one's a lot more spongy, and therefore if you get hit, it doesn't hurt as much.
It doesn't hurt as much, and that's why they argue that actually
So
you
the
can do more
gloves-
damage with a boxing glove
Yeah.
cumulatively than you can MMA mix.
Stick to the point now.
My point is that so you take that one of these angles away. You take the fact that you can't kick out of it, right? Then you've just got two people using their fists.
Yeah.
There is no boxer alive at his weight category that can beat Mayweather. So in what world can Conor McGregor learn how to box again properly and cope with the best boxer in the world?
Okay, so you're saying that basically Floyd Mayweather would blaze through
Batter
Conor
him.
in a boxing match,
He
right?
would batter him. He may not knock him out because his chin might be durable, but he'd leave him in a terrible state.
Right. Okay. So what I'd say to that is one, Floyd Mayweather doesn't knock people out,
No, fair enough.
does he?
No.
I mean, he does obviously every now and again, but
The
he's
last
more
one
of a
was
defensive, clever boxer.
Yes.
And he's a great boxer, and
One of
no
the
one's
best.
managed to beat him, and you can't dispute that,
Mhm.
right? Fine. Now, just to sit there and dismiss Conor, though, so I'm not saying Conor would definitely beat him at boxing. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is it would be a fair fight. So one, Conor was a boxer as a youngster, and he's now in MMA. He still trains boxing. He still does yards of boxing. And to be honest with you, if you watch his striking, in the UFC, you can see that his striking's phenomenal. And as well as it being phenomenal and technically very good, he has this timing, this rare combination of timing and power that means that maybe he's the kind of guy that if he did land on Mayweather would do damage, because Conor knocks people out, simple as that. That timing doesn't lie, that accuracy doesn't lie, that power doesn't lie. So all I'm saying is that he's a far better boxer than Mayweather will ever be in mixed martial arts. So there's a fight, I think there's a fight that could happen. It wouldn't be one-sided, is what I'm saying. It's hard to beat the best, but it wouldn't necessarily be one-sided. The other thing, though,
knock him out,
the other thing, though,
12 rounds.
You
can't go out the whole.
No, I can't. This is my response to what you were saying.
Your response is going to be how long?
Flav.
And I'm going to forget bits that you said. Rubbish. This is why I always lose arguments with my girlfriend, because she says loads of stuff and I never remember what to say back.
Flav.
What?
The other thing, do you remember when we did the podcast with Michael Venom Page?
Yes.
What did he tell you about sparring with Chris Eubank Jr.?
He said he smashed him up.
Why did he say he smashed him up?
Can't remember.
Well, he said why, because in boxing, everything that you have to deal with comes from an orthodox stance. Yeah, your guard's up and you punch in, the movement, it's all kind of, it's a set system ultimately.
Yeah.
Now, why, when Michael Venom Page was talking, and you should look up MVP if you don't know who he is, he's amazing. So
download
MVP,
the pod as well.
download the podcast. But he talks about his style's hands down. So ultimately, everything he does comes from his hands at a different point of view. And I think what he was saying was Chris Eubank was struggling to cope with the angles and the fakes and the way that he kind of moves in that regard, because when you're used to this and then all of a sudden things are kind of coming from a different place and these kind of things, that was causing him problems that he couldn't work out. So all I'm saying is that Conor is a fighter that fights with a very different stance. It's something that Mayweather won't have seen very often, and maybe those angles could have some kind of effect. So that's the other reason why I think it might be a contest that wouldn't necessarily be a one-way contest. But the third bit is that I would not bet against Conor McGregor. Because
come on.
Conor McGregor has, listen to me, this guy right now, he's bigger than Ronaldo. He's like our Muhammad Ali. What he has done in this last few years has been nothing short of incredible.
Absolutely.
And every single time what he's done, he's put himself out there, he's taken fights on short notice, he's gone up from 145 and fought people at 170, he's fought these people on 12 days notice, and every single time there's been an obstacle that is in his path, he's ultimately overcome that obstacle. The latest one, so because Conor's a striker, people said he can't wrestle, he's not going to do well against a wrestler. He just fought the archetypal power wrestler who just knocked out the previous champion, and he fought Eddie Alvarez, and everybody, including myself, was like, maybe this is the one, this is the kind of guy that can take him down, that can grind on him, and that can wear him out for 5 rounds, just dominating his posture with wrestling. And what did Conor do? He made him look like a fool. The guy couldn't take him down, and he just landed that left.
He's fighting wrestlers, whereas Mayweather would slip that left hand all day, pap him in the with his jab, straight right or leave right, and McGregor will be all at sea.
So that, I think, would be a beautiful thing to see. Now, I'm not saying Conor would beat him. All I'm saying is that would be a fight, and it's a fight that, just let me tell you, would be the biggest ever pay-per-view in world sports history.
Yeah, it would.
Bar none. So we live in the entertainment age. Let's make the fight. I'd love to see that fight. Imagine the hype. Imagine the chat.
It would be interesting.
It'd be fucking awesome.
It would be, in my opinion, a freak show. They may have to do both things, but it
What's
would be.
What's the size of Mayweather? How tall is he? Who's bigger? What did he fight at? What was his best fight?
He was a super middleweight. Welterweight.
A welterweight.
Yeah.
So is what he fought? Is that 170 in boxing?
I think it's 147.
Mayweather.
But they're about the same. 147.
147.
And then McGregor fights at 145.
I'd be interested to know his height. What is his?
5'8".
So they're a very similar height and similar reach, actually. Yeah.
No, they're a perfect weight for each other.
Yeah.
But,
super featherweight, lightweight, middleweight. Yeah, they are perfect size. It'd be interesting to see who's got that best. It'd be interesting to see them square up.
Well, if it happens, or even because maybe they're both talking about each other, and that's all you need generally, a will to get these things done.
It's the money, mate. They're both motivated by money.
Absolutely.
And I think that would be a great fight, rather than a one-way fight.
Well, look, there's something there. Look, I'm willing to concede on some of your points.
Shall we have a fight?
No.
A little wrestle?
See what happened to you earlier.
What happened?
I bit you.
It's true. It's true. Look, thank you very much for listening, watching.
Yep. Remember to leave reviews. I know we beg for reviews, but do you know what? Yeah, I need to know people out there listening.
Yeah.
And liking
So
what I do.
subscribe on iTunes.
Always.
All the back catalogues on there. We also do a little bit of extra bonus content. You might not get all of our content on the video form.
Yep.
We're talking about. We should
think about the best
actually.
ways. Yeah. So people watch it. We know that people don't watch it all because you can see analytics. And it's a long time, but
who does watch
all of anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I even turned off
Game of Thrones.
Planet Earth 2. I thought I had about 60% retention rate on Planet Earth 2.
There you go. So what we I think what we want to know is those that watch it on YouTube, do you like watching the whole thing? Would you prefer it if we just put up 3 or 4 short videos, or would you just prefer a highlights video that might be about 15 minutes?
Or we might take one really good subject that we think we've covered well and put that up.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've got my
It is an hour
preference.
too long as a video, but
Maybe it isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you let us know either way on that one?
Yeah.
I think that'd be
Should have
useful.
done that at the beginning.
We really should.
Yeah, because like the people that are still here will want it.
Can we not cut that and put it at the beginning?
Yeah. I don't know.
What we're gonna do is now we're gonna edit. We're gonna shoot something and put that at the beginning. So see you all at the far post.